My world was supposed to be filled with the scent of ink from my father's design studio, attire lumiere, the soft sunlight streaming through the windows, and the warm smiles of employees working with passion. Lucy, this merger is the best decision for both of us and for both companies. Why can't you see that? The air inside the conference room tightened as if the walls themselves were listening. Across the polished table, my fiancé Jeff Owen tapped his fingers in a steady, impatient rhythm, his irritation barely concealed beneath a practiced smile. As the heir to Apex Corporation, one of the country's most powerful conglomerates, Jeff was accustomed to getting what he wanted. His sculpted features and impeccable suit hid the sharp calculation burning in his eyes, an ambition that never truly rested. The best decision, Jeff. That's only true for Apex, isn't it? I replied evenly, forcing myself not to waver. This company is my father's life's work. He built it from nothing. The people here aren't tools or numbers. They're family. I won't let you exploit them to rescue a business that's already rotting from the inside. You're exaggerating, Lucy. He leaned back in his chair, his tone indulgent, almost amused. This is a strategic partnership, nothing more. But ever since my father died 2 years ago and I stepped into the role of CEO, Jeff had changed. The man who once admired my designs and praised my instincts now looked at my company as something to be absorbed, reshaped, consumed. My father's voice echoed in my mind, weak yet unwavering as he clasped my hand on his deathbed. Lucy, Jeff is dangerous. His hunger will never be satisfied. Love can give you strength, but it can also blind you. Never lose yourself, no matter what. Back then, wrapped in love and trust, I brushed off his words as unnecessary worry. Now, they cut painfully deep. This discussion ends here. Atelier Lumiere will remain independent. That was my father's wish, and it's my decision. The firmness in my voice finally silenced Jeff. For a moment, he simply stared at me before letting out a low laugh. Fine. If that's how you feel, let's take a break. Give each other some space. His sudden calm unsettled me far more than his anger ever had. That evening, when I returned home, my younger sister Alyssa was waiting in the living room. She had always been the dreamy type, fascinated by beautiful things, by sparkle and attention. I knew she carried complicated emotions toward me, the capable older sister everyone admired. "Welcome back, Lucy," she said brightly, lifting her phone to show me a photo of a tropical resort. "Jeff said you've been overworking yourself. You've got that big design competition in Italy next week, right? He thought you should relax first, so he planned everything. An overseas trip. It was sudden, almost too thoughtful. But this competition mattered. Winning could secure the future of the company." Alyssa's smile seemed innocent, and Jeff's unexpected generosity confused me. Something felt off, but I ignored the unease. I couldn't afford hesitation now. In the end, I accepted and flew to Italy. I poured everything into the competition, pushing doubts aside, and when my name was announced as the grand prize winner, exhaustion gave way to pride. Surely now Jeff would stop pushing the merger. Surely this proved my worth. But the moment I stepped into my apartment, something was wrong. The air carried a sweet vanilla scent that didn't belong to me. It wasn't Alyssa's usual perfume either. Uneasy, I walked into my bedroom and opened the closet. My heart slammed against my ribs. The wedding dress was gone. The one I had crafted from my late mother's lace, preserved with care and love. My phone buzzed. Sandra, my best friend, a brilliant lawyer. The one person I trusted without hesitation. "Lucy, you need to sit down," she said, her voice unnaturally calm. "Alyssa and Jeff got married yesterday." The words didn't register at first. "Married? In your wedding dress. Check Instagram, it's everywhere." My hands trembled as I opened the app. The images stabbed at my vision. Alyssa glowing in my dress, Jeff beside her, proud and triumphant. A chapel drenched in luxury, smiling guests, and then her caption. The moment we realized it was fate. "Sorry, Lucy, but sometimes love and business don't wait." Love and business. In that instant, the fog lifted. The trip, the timing, Alyssa's encouragement. Jeff's sudden tenderness. They hadn't just stolen my fiancé, they were coming for Atelier Lumiere, for my father's legacy. For me. The sorrow drained away, replaced by a chilling calm. My phone buzzed again. "Kevin, our loyal head of accounting. Urgent. Jeff is calling an emergency shareholders meeting, citing your absence. The agenda is your removal as CEO and a full merger with Apex. Of course. I typed back slowly. Kevin, stay calm. Everything is under control. Our counterattack starts now. I called Sandra again. This isn't a time for tears. This is war. I want the best IT investigator you can find. Someone who knows how the underground works. I want access to everything Jeff's hiding. Money, messages, secrets, and that marriage will challenge it. He was still legally engaged to me. After the call, I retrieved my father's old journal and a black USB from the safe. His handwriting stared back at me. The Owen family doesn't build. They consume. If anything happens to me, Lucy must see the truth. The final trump card is on this USB. By morning, the attack had begun. Headlines accused me of embezzlement and fleeing overseas out of jealousy. Alyssa sobbed on screen, playing the victim flawlessly while Jeff held her protectively. The company phones rang nonstop. Partners pulled out. Employees panicked. Jeff wasn't just destroying my reputation. He was dismantling everything. That afternoon, Kevin came to my office with a thick file. Inside were records, contracts, shell companies. Jeff had siphoned hundreds of thousands through fake consulting deals. And then Kevin pointed to the final pages, showing investors quietly buying up Atelier Lumiere stock. All tied to Jeff. He's using our company's money to secretly buy out our own shares. He's embezzling our funds to steal our company. Yes. And at this rate, he'll have majority control by next week's emergency shareholders meeting. A rush of blood thundered in my ears. Jeff was using my company's money to launch a hostile takeover. Kevin, thank you. This is exactly the evidence we need. We're with you until the end. That's a promise I made to your dad. His steady words reignited a fire inside me. I wasn't alone. That night Sandra called. Lucy, that investigator you asked for, he's incredible. Code name 0. Former white hat hacker. There's nothing in the digital world he can't find. Can he start immediately? He already has. He's inside Apex Corporation servers as we speak. And he's found something juicy. Sandra sent over an image through a secure encrypted app. It was an internal Apex document. Confidential financial data. Look at this. The Owen family is drowning. Years of reckless investments, massive debt. The banks are cutting them off. This is why they want a Tyler Lumiere so badly. Your company's clean assets and high credit rating. They're desperate for it. So that's why they push so hard. Exactly. And here's the real bomb. 0 had sent over another file and audio recording. Secretly captured. Apex board meeting. Jeff's voice. The Lumiere acquisition is proceeding on schedule. Lucy's probably still dreaming in Italy. By the time she returns, she'll have no place left to come back to. His dad's voice. Don't mess this up, Jeff. That company is our last lifeline. Do you have any idea how hard it was to remove Lucy's father? That stubborn old man. Jeff's voice. I know, Dad. He conveniently dropped dead from overwork. His daughter will follow the same fate if she resists. That is, I stopped breathing. My father's death wasn't just exhaustion. They planned it. Sandra, yes. This isn't just a hostile takeover anymore. This is a crime. We should call the police. Wait. I cut her off, my voice trembling. Not yet. If we want to destroy them completely, socially and legally, we need something bigger. And we need to save Alyssa. Alyssa. Lucy, she betrayed you. No, she's a victim too. That recording proves it. Jeff will toss her aside the moment she's no longer useful. She's being used. I have to wake her up. From that day on, my counterattack began in earnest, quiet but relentless. Through Sandra, I tried to reach Alyssa. But if I approached her directly, she'd only shut down. So instead, I went through the one person she might still trust, her best friend Kelly. Sandra met with Kelly, and under the condition of anonymity, began feeding her bits of information, warning her of Jeff's true nature. Your friend is in danger. If this goes on, she'll be left to take the fall and possibly end up in prison. At first, Kelly was skeptical, but when she saw the evidence Apex Corporation's crumbling financials, Jeff's long history of manipulation and womanizing her expression changed. At the same time, Kevin and I worked to unify our team. I gathered all the employees and told them everything, every lie, every attack, every threat Jeff had made against us. The employees, once shaken by the rumors, quietly listened as they began to understand the truth. I'm sorry for the fear and confusion, but I will not give in. I will protect this company, the dream my father built, and the workplace you've all fought for. Please stand with me. A young designer stood up. We love working here. We're proud of what Atelier Lumiere stands for. Please let us fight with you until the very end. One by one, voices joined in. We're with you. I held back the tears that threatened to fall. I was surrounded by such warm, unwavering support. Meanwhile, Zero's investigation uncovered something deeper. An offshore account in Alyssa's name, secretly set up by Jeff. And when he followed the money trail, he made a shocking discovery. Lucy, this is big. Jeff didn't just stash the embezzled funds, he funneled some of it into another account. Another account? Yeah, a Swiss private bank. And the money is being used to hire industrial spies. Zero sent over chat logs conversations between Jeff and a man known in the underground for stealing corporate secrets. Jeff, did you get the blueprints for Atelier Lumiere's upcoming project? Spy delivered. The data is encrypted and sent, but Lucy Brown's tough. Her computer security is insane. Jeff doesn't matter. After next week's shareholder meeting, it's over. No matter what she does, it'll be too late. They had stolen the unreleased designs our future. One piece after another fell into place. Embezzlement, betrayal of trust, data theft, and the truth behind my father's death. All that remained was the final piece, the black USB my father left behind. I spent hours every day trying every password I could think of. My father's birthday, my mother's death, the company's founding date. Every time the same message, access denied. Dad, what were you trying to tell me? I reread his journal over and over but found nothing. The emergency shareholders meeting was just 3 days away. Then through Sandra, a message came from Kelly. Lucy, something's wrong with Alyssa. She looks scared whenever Jeff is around. I saw her crying and refusing to sign some documents. Today she told me she found a bank statement from an overseas account, and she swears she doesn't know anything about it. There was no doubt. Jeff was preparing to frame her to pin the crimes on her and walk away clean. Sandra, we need to get Alyssa out of there now. Work with Kelly. Get her to a safe place before Jeff finds out. Got it. But will she listen? Play her the audio recording. Let her hear Jeff and his father talking about what they did to my dad. That'll wake her up. I sent Sandra the recording, the one where Jeff and his father spoke so casually about orchestrating my father's death. It had to be the shock Alyssa needed. The day before the shareholder meeting, I sat alone in my office, flipping through my father's journal. We had enough evidence to bury Jeff legally and socially. But I knew the real truth. What my father really wanted me to know was inside that USB. Then I noticed something I'd missed. On the very last page, a faint ink stain like a tear. And in the corner, barely legible in delicate fountain pen, were the words, "The day you gave me that sketch, your first drawing of me, I'll never forget it. A treasure forever. 19,980,516. May 16, 1998. My 6th birthday, the day I gave my dad his first crayon portrait. His smiling face drawn with love. No, could it be? Hands trembling, I inserted the USB again, typed 119,980,516, pressed enter. Click, the screen lit up. Access granted. One video file titled to my beloved daughter Lucy. I held my breath and clicked on the file. On screen appeared my father, thinner than I remembered but smiling gently. Lucy, if you're watching this, it means something happened to me and you're now fighting alone to uncover the truth. His soft voice filled the room. Let me be direct. Jeff Owen is our enemy. He stole my company's technology, poached my staff, and mentally cornered me. All of it calculated moves to take Atelier Lumiere legally. I resisted, but I may be nearing my limit. My father paused, then coughed weakly, clearly struggling. But Lucy, don't let revenge consume you. True strength doesn't lie in destruction. It lies in protecting, nurturing. You have that power. This video is my final gift to help you do just that. He then held up a document to the camera. This is a confidential contract between the founder of Apex Corporation, Jeff's grandfather, and myself. In exchange for my technical contributions, the Owen family agreed to ensure Atelier Lumiere's permanent independence and to never pursue a hostile takeover. If they violate this agreement, all rights Apex holds concerning Atelier Lumiere become void. It was the ultimate reversal, the ace in the hole. Our family's final trump card. Lucy, I hope you find happiness lives strong. The video ended. I sat frozen. Tears streamed silently down my cheeks, falling onto the keyboard. Thank you, Dad. I'll fight, just like you taught me to protect what matters. I stood up and looked out at the night skyline. The air felt like the stillness before a storm. Jeff Owen, your party's over. Tomorrow's shareholder meeting will be your execution. The hotel hall hosting the emergency shareholder meeting was thick with tension. Whispers of worry buzzed from board members and shareholders. Cameras flashed nonstop. At the center of it all stood Jeff Owen, puffed up like a conquering hero. Next to him was his father, the chairman, looking visibly shaken. But Alyssa was nowhere to be seen. Jeff's face briefly flickered with unease before he plastered on a smug smile. From the back of the room, Sandra and I watched in silence. I wore a sharp black suit. A few shareholders turned and shot me contemptuous looks, but I barely felt them. We now call to order this emergency shareholder meeting for a tire Lumiere. The chairman's voice silenced the room. Jeff stepped forward and theatrically cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gathering here today. As the largest shareholder and as Lucy Brown's former fiancé, deeply regret the circumstances that have brought us here. He looked around, finding pain. After she embezzled funds and vanished, a tire Lumiere stands at a crossroads. In response, I have made a difficult decision. I propose that Apex Corporation absorb and rebuild this historic company, and as a first step, I formally submit a motion to dismiss Lucy Brown as CEO. Jeff's voice rang out across the hall. His loyal shareholders responded with eager applause, as if they'd been waiting for this moment, just as the chairman prepared to call the vote. Objection. My clear, unwavering voice cut through the tension in the room like a blade. All eyes turned to me. Sandra and I walked slowly down the center aisle as if down a war path lined with shareholders. Jeff's face contorted with shock and rage. Lucy, how the hell are you? This is my company's shareholder meeting. Why wouldn't I be here? I ignored him and stepped to the mic, addressing everyone. Good afternoon, I'm Lucy Brown. Thank you all for entertaining this circus. But the performance ends here. Now it's time for the truth. Sandra activated the presentation. First, let's address Mr. Owen's claim to be the majority shareholder. That claim is under serious dispute. The screen lit up with transaction records that Kevin had uncovered. Paper companies, fake consulting contracts, and secret stock purchases by Jeff's associates. Jeff Owen embezzled over $500,000 from our company to secretly purchase shares under the names of dummy entities. This constitutes both breach of fiduciary duty and criminal embezzlement under corporate law. The room erupted in gasps. Jeff's face turned crimson. Lies, there's no proof. Oh, but there is. At that moment, a crisp voice echoed from the speakers. My name is Mike, and I serve as Apex Corporation's external auditor. I'm joining remotely today. The screen changed to show Mike's face calm, professional. I saw the chairman, Jeff's father, stiffen. My audit confirms that Jeff Owen withdrew over $5 million inappropriately from Apex over the past 3 years, transferring it to personal accounts. Part of that sum was used to acquire entire Lumiere shares. He projected confidential financial records onto the screen. The money trail was undeniable. Jeff cornered made a final desperate move. That wasn't me. Alyssa. It was all Alyssa's idea. She manipulated me. It was all her doing, pathetic. But that's exactly what I was waiting for. Alyssa, you say? At my signal, the doors of the hall swung open and Alyssa entered, accompanied by Sandra. Her eyes were still clouded with fear, but her steps held a faint glimmer of resolve. Sandra spoke firmly. Miss Alyssa Brown is now our client. She is currently preparing criminal charges against Jeff Owen for coercion and fraud. While what? Jeff was stunned. He turned and glared at Alyssa, but she didn't flinch. Jeff, I can't keep lying for you. Lucy, I'm so sorry. And then the final blow. But Jeff Owen's crimes don't end there. I cued the audio file Zero had recovered. Jeff, did you get the blueprints for Alier Lumiere's upcoming project? Spy delivered. The audio clip proving Jeff's collusion with the industrial spy echoed through the hall. The whispers among the shareholders turned to outrage. Chairman Owen turned ghostly pale, nearly collapsing on the spot. Jeff Owen, you're a fraud, a thief, and an embezzler. I looked down at him in complete silence and spoke quietly. There is no need to vote on his dismissal because as of now, he is no longer even a legitimate shareholder of this company. Shares acquired through criminal profit hold no voting rights. I turned to face the entire room. Ladies and gentlemen, I will rebuild entire Lumiere, and I promise you it will be stronger, bolder, and more creative than ever before. In response to my powerful declaration, the room erupted this time with genuine, thunderous applause. One by one, I read the names of the board members who had supported Jeff and submitted motions for their removal. Every one of them passed unanimously. The battle was over. Victory was ours. As I stepped down from the podium, uniformed officers waiting at the entrance began to approach Jeff in silence. "Mr. Jeff Owen, we'd like you to come with us for questioning." He looked too defeated to resist. As he was escorted out, he turned back, his eyes hollow, and whispered in my ear, "Don't think you've won, Lucy. If you bring me down, the truth about your father's death will come out. You think I killed him? That deal he made with me, it's what broke him." A sharp jaw shot through my chest, but I didn't flinch. I leaned in and whispered back, "I know, but Jeff, you still haven't seen my real trump card." For the first time, true fear flashed across his face. The battlefield masquerading as a shareholder meeting was over. Silence remained in its place. Jeff was taken into custody, charged with multiple offenses. Chairman Owen also faced serious legal scrutiny for his involvement and attempts to cover up his son's crimes. The media turned on a dime, their headlines now proclaiming, "The Phoenix returns, tragic heroine triumphs. Genius designer topples corporate evil." But my battle wasn't over yet. Jeff's final words, "Your father's death is partly your fault," too clung to me like a curse. A thorn lodged deep in my heart. That night in the CEO's office, I played the video my father had left behind this time. In front of the prosecutor assigned to the case and the Owen family's legal representative, Sandra and Mike stood beside me, tense and silent. My father appeared on screen, calm, gaunt, but determined. He spoke of the pressure from Jeff, of stolen technology, of the psychological torment. And finally, he revealed the confidential agreement, the one that guaranteed a tier Lumiere's independence. If Apex Corporation violates this agreement, they forfeit all rights and claims to a tier Lumiere. The moment the video ended, the Owen family's lawyer wiped the sweat from his brow and looked up at the ceiling. This wasn't just a contract. It was a death sentence for Apex Corporation. Every action they had taken against Atelier Lumiere now constituted a breach of contract, making them liable to repay all unlawfully obtained licensing fees and profits retroactively. For the already crumbling Owen Corporation, it was the final fatal blow. The prosecutor turned to me. "Miss Brown, this video will serve as critical evidence of Jeff Owen's malicious intent. His charges will no longer be considered financial crimes alone. Even in death, my father had protected me, protected us." Weeks later, Alyssa visited my office. Gone were the glamorous clothes. She now wore a plain suit and carried herself with a quiet seriousness. "Lucy," she apologized deeply, "I'm truly sorry. I couldn't see anything clearly. Jeff's sweet words and my jealousy toward you. I lost myself. I said nothing, just watched her. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want to spend the rest of my life atoning for what I've done. Sandra's taken me on as an apprentice at her firm. I want to help people like me, people who were tricked and hurt." Her eyes held no doubt. She was beginning to walk her own path. "Alyssa," I finally said softly, "your life is just beginning. Make it count." "Thank you, Lucy." I watched her leave the office with quiet dignity. Maybe, just maybe, the twisted bond between us had begun to mend through this long, painful war. As predicted, Jeff received a heavy sentence. Embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, data theft, destruction of evidence, and indirect involvement in my father's death. 15 years. He screamed in court, "I'm the victim here." But no one listened. Even his former allies and father abandoned him. Alone in prison, he would face the weight of his sins. Apex Corporation effectively collapsed. The secret contract triggered a massive damages suit. The once mighty empire crumbled like a castle of sand. Chairman Owen resigned. The Owen family name was disgraced beyond repair. Ironically, Mike, the very man who had helped expose their crimes, was appointed to oversee the company's liquidation. He handled it professionally with no personal bias. That was just who he was. Attire Lumiere made a miraculous comeback. The scandal, though harrowing, had catapulted the company's name into the spotlight and established me as a designer who refused to bow to corruption. Our team rallied stronger than ever, pouring their energy into creating bold, groundbreaking designs. I, like my father before me, treated my employees as family. I poured everything into building an environment where their talents could truly shine. Mike became my most trusted professional partner. Throughout the process of dismantling and rebuilding what remained of Owen Corporation, we spent countless hours working side by side. His integrity, sharp intellect, and the gentle smile he wore at just the right moments began to draw me in. He was the only man who truly understood my wounds and stood beside me without asking for anything in return. "Lucy, you're one of the strongest people I know," he once said as we walked out after a late-night strategy session. No, I was terrified every step of the way, but I had something worth protecting. "You didn't just protect the company, you stood for justice itself." He took my hand, and in that warmth, I felt the ice inside me finally begin to melt. It didn't take long for our partnership to evolve into something more, something lasting. 1 year later, Mike and I stood together in front of my father's grave. Fresh flowers rested at the headstone. "Dad, I did it. I protected your company, just like you taught me to protect what matters most." I spoke to my father in my heart. The wind rustled through the trees. I imagined his voice whispering, "Well done, my girl." Standing beside me, Mike gently wrapped his arm around me. I had once thought I'd lost everything, my fiancé, my sister, my company. But what I really lost was only the illusion of love, the illusion of trust. From the darkness, I had found something real. The priceless legacy my father left me and the people who helped me protect it. I used to believe that revenge created nothing. But maybe that was only half true. Revenge born of hatred can destroy everything. But a battle fought with pride to protect what you love, that kind of fight can create something new, something strong. My real life began that day, the day I stood at the edge of despair and chose to rise. I looked up. Above me stretched a sky blue, endless and clear.